Try it again. Bum, 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 bum. What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 721 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the city of Vineland. It's your boy KB coming at you solo dolo to get your Monday and your week started off on the right foot, because I already told you to start the year. Positive vibes Mondays, everybody. We're going to talk some Eagles. We're going to talk some fighting Phils. We're going to talk a little Joel Embiid, a little March Madness, some Philadelphia Union, a little bit of Fly Guys. We got a whole smorgasbord lined up for you to talk some Philly sports. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. We're on every social platform. Be sure to follow us. Help us get those numbers up. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky. We're on everything. Follow us. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311, Instagram, Threads, KBIZZLE11. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the pod. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It genuinely goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow, plus every show on our network continue to grow. It gives us those opportunities that you see us accomplishing, from us going and being credentialed media at Philadelphia Wings games, plus we're working on some other things. You see me in Phillies press conferences last year. We're working on building our relationship even more with them. You see us at the PLL, you see us with the NLL, you see Casey and Owen this weekend for the very first time at IndyCar as credentialed media. Plus, we got a whole lot more coming up for you that you don't want to miss out on. So keep subscribing. It helps us continue to take this thing to the moon, to the cosmos. You know it. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel, and that includes our Underground Madness watch-along streams that will be happening in just 2 short weeks when the tournament begins. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. We're trying to get to 1,100 subscribers before March Madness tips off. Let's make that happen. We got about 2.5 weeks to make it happen. We are 71 subscribers away from that goal. Let's make it happen. 71 more of you, hit that subscribe button. It's free. It's free. So subscribe to the YouTube. And this show is proudly presented by the City of Vineland, and the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city, Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast.
I'm Mayor Anthony Finucci. If you're looking for the right location, think Vineland, New Jersey. Our pro-business approach is supported by financial incentives, workforce development programs, and other resources which can give your business a competitive edge. Whether you're starting a new business or expanding to new markets, our business environment, infrastructure, accessibility, and quality of life make Vineland an ideal location. More information about how we can help your business grow can be found at vinelandcity.org. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, Philly sports fans and Philly sports haters alike, how we doing on this Monday? How are we doing? We are 3 weeks removed from our Super Victory Monday. It's crazy to think that just a short and long 3 weeks ago, the Philadelphia Eagles became Super Bowl champions for the second time in franchise history and for the second time in my lifetime. And for the first time in this podcast lifetime, we celebrated a championship. It still hasn't set in, and I'm curious if that is the same for everyone, if it's set in for you yet, because it genuinely has not set in for me yet that the Philadelphia Phillies, or excuse me, I'm looking at my hat. It hasn't set in for me yet that the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. It's crazy to think that they played with such dominance and just such pure teamwork and showcased it on the largest stage possible and had just a season for the ages. And you would think, like, oh, it's set in. And the amount of talking and the amount of just pure, unadulterated, like, bringing up of the Eagles in my daily life, you would think it would set in already. And genuinely, I don't know when it will set in. I don't know if it will take until the draft. I don't know if it'll take until OTAs, training camp, week one of the preseason, week one of the regular season. I don't know when it will truly set in that we witnessed one of the greatest Super Bowl victories in the history of the NFL, and it never gets old. I still continue to go back and watch clips, whether it be, the Jahan Dotson catch, whether it be the tush push in the Super Bowl, whether it be Cooper DeJean or Zach Bond's interceptions, obviously Cooper's being for the touchdown, watching the A.J. Brown touchdown, the dagger to Devontae Smith, the strip sack from Milton Williams, Jalen Carter being an absolute bully. I can't get enough of it. I continue to go back and watch clips and watch film breakdowns, and it just makes me happy. It just makes me so giddy watching every last highlight from Super Bowl 59. And it just makes me excited for what Howie Roseman has planned for this offseason and for free agency and the draft and the players that he's targeting, pardon me, because while we know Zach Bond, Howie's flat out said he is a priority this free agent window. The rumors are swirling about Myles Garrett. And, the more I just think about what Howie is capable of, the more I get excited because he is truly playing Madden with the salary cap off every single offseason. Like, there's no doubt that ever creeps into my mind when we talk about Howie Roseman, because he is so calculated. He is so methodical. And I truly think there's two moments in time that changed Howie Roseman. And it was the process of being thrown to the other side of the building and brought back after Chip Kelly and winning that first Super Bowl. And then almost the hard reset after the 2020 draft, where Jalen Hurts was the lone, like, successful pick, really, that made it on this Eagles roster. And since then, Howie has gone on a tear from drafting, from trades, from free agency, and has built this team into a juggernaut. And it just gets me excited to think about Howie's brain process and just what he's thinking, because we'll never know what he's thinking. But just thinking about what he's going to be capable of this offseason just gets me overly joyed. And I think part of it is I have genuinely become addicted to Pro Football Network's mock draft simulator. I genuinely cannot get enough of it. It truly is one of the greatest pieces of, like, modern draft tech I've ever stumbled upon. It's like up to the second updated, and you can go through an entire draft. And I have been cooking on this thing, and the more and more I do it, the more and more I find myself researching guys, because if you know me, I'm not the biggest college football fan. I don't know damn near close to anything when it comes to college football. It's just like a foreign language to me that would take far too long for me to comprehend, and there's no Duolingo for college football. It's something that I have come to terms with, and I'm quite frankly okay with the draft really being my only connection to college football. I'll watch the national championship if I feel inclined, but for the most part, the draft is really where I find myself looking at prospects and being like, oh, that's a dude. That guy's a dog. And then I do like the reverse research where it's like, oh, the Eagles drafted somebody, let me look into this guy. But this mock draft simulator has got me looking at guys that I'm starting to, I tweeted this too, I'm starting to compile the hashtag my guys list when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles draft this year. And I have it pulled up right next to me here. And I'm going to tell you the beginning portions of hashtag my guys, because there are many. And number one, hashtag my guy, obviously pending if Milton Williams leaves in free agency. But even if he doesn't, I would still love to see the Eagles draft this guy. And that's Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle from Michigan. And I'm sure DJ is ecstatic that I'm bringing up a Michigan man. He's 6'3", 331 pounds. The write-up here is saying Grant has the ceiling in the NFL to become a top 5 defensive tackle. And at the very least, he can survive in the NFL for a long time as a dominant run defender. I would love this dude on this team. I'm huge on Kenneth Grant. Every time I do the mock draft simulator, if he's available, I'm taking him. And the other times, I'm like restarting the draft, or I'm trading out of the pick, because I do everything in my power to get one of 2 defensive tackles in this first round with the Eagles' 32nd overall pick. And sometimes it ends up being one of 3. The 3 that I look at a ton are Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, and then Tyleik Williams from Ohio State. Those are like the 3 defensive tackles in the early go that I really am gaining an affinity for, probably in that order: Grant, Walter Nolan, a little bit of space, Tyreek Williams. The other defensive tackles in this draft that I do really like are TJ Sanders from South Carolina is somebody who definitely tickles my fancy. Omar Norman Lott is somebody who, if any of those guys go early in the mock draft simulator, I look to grab him in the third round a lot. I like CJ West from Indiana. I like Riley Mills from Notre Dame. I like Jordan Phillips from Maryland. And I really also like Cam Jackson. Yes. I think Cam Jackson is somebody who's like one of those like later guys. I also, for the name alone from South Carolina, Tonka Hemingway. I've become a big fan of his simply based on the name. Looking at the edge rushers that would be available for the Eagles, big ones that I like Jack Sawyer. I think he's talented. I do like JT Tuimoloau. Apologies to JT from Ohio State. Landon Jackson from Arkansas. Donovan Ezirauku from Boston College. Apologies for the mispronunciation. I like Kyle Kennard from South Carolina. Braden Swinson from LSU. Jordan Birch from Oregon sometimes falls on my list. And then Tyler Barron from Miami, as well as Antoine Powell-Ryland from Virginia Tech. Those are like, and sometimes if I really screw up and I don't get an edge, Kamon Rucker from North Carolina. Those are like the defensive ends that I'm looking at, those edge rushers. Linebackers, it's been few and far between that Jihad Campbell has fallen to me, especially when I'm trying to take my guy, Kenneth Grant. But he's definitely somebody I like. Chris Paul Jr., Jay Higgins from Iowa, Smail Mondon Jr., Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame is somebody I've really tickled, that has really tickled my fancy. And then Jamon Dumas Johnson is somebody who also falls to me. And then obviously my guy through and through, Tyrene Powell from Rutgers, Vineland Zone, is somebody who I have gained an affinity for a ton. There's a few safeties. Kevin Winston Jr. is one. Lathan Ransom, Billy Bowman, Malachi Moore, Maxon Hook, simply all name team right there. And then my guy, Dante Trader Jr., former University of Maryland lacrosse player. I would be unbearable if the Eagles drafted Dante. I would love nothing more than to be rooting for Dante Trader Jr. Corners, I haven't really looked at, simply because I feel like the Eagles can really address the slot corner and free agency more. And they do have guys like Keely Ringo on the roster, but they will end up drafting a corner at some point, in my opinion, just for depth and special teams purposes. I like Upton Stout, Noel Williams from California. I also do like Kobe Bryant from Kansas, and Zy Alexander have been guys that have caught my eye from the corner position. And then on offense, the big names, Harold Fannin Jr. It's tough when you want to go defensive tackle first, but Harold Fannin Jr. is an absolute dog. Would love him on the Eagles. The other tight end that I've really gained an affinity for is Mason Taylor from LSU. And I like Gunnar Helm from Texas. And I know as I'm recording this, he twisted his ankle at the combine on a false start on the 40-yard dash. It looked nasty, so maybe he falls and that works out for the Eagles. Hopefully he gets healthy first and foremost. But those are the three tight ends I've really looked at. And then sometimes it's been Jake Brenningstool or Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame. Wide receiver, I haven't really dialed in on too much simply because the Eagles have a ton of wide receiver talent. But I do like Jack Beck, Tiger Beck's brother. Tiger Beck obviously passed away in the New Orleans terror attack. I do really like Pat Bryant from Illinois. I like Ricky White from UNLV, and I think there's one other. Oh yeah, Nick Nash from San Jose State. Those are really the wide receivers that have caught my eye for the Eagles. And then looking at offensive line, the offensive tackle spot, Marcus Mbao from Purdue, Emory Jones from LSU, Ajani Cornelius from Oregon. Trying to see if anybody else. Trey Wedding sometimes comes on my radar. Brandon Crenshaw Dixon from Florida. Feels like a Jeff Stoutland project if I've ever seen one. And then looking at the interior offensive lineman, Dylan Fairchild from Georgia. Miles Frazier from LSU. Damn, did he already get taken in this mock draft that I started? Or is he a center? He might be a center. Okay. Those are really the Luke Kandra from Cincinnati is also somebody I look at. And then from the center position, Jared Wilson from Georgia, Jonah Monheim from USC, Jake Majors is somebody that a lot of Eagles fans are liking as well from Texas. Those are the guys that I've really been looking at. Really have like caught my eye. I also love LaQuint Allen. Would love for the Eagles to draft LaQuint. I think he's an absolute dog, and if the Eagles have the opportunity to draft him and it makes sense, I would love LaQuint behind Saquon Barkley on this team. He would be absolutely dynamic, and would make me very happy to root for another South Jersey boy on this team. So that's the initial look at who I'm culminating as like hashtag my guys. It is fascinating to kind of go through all of these and see, like I'm doing it right now, and like Colston Loveland from Michigan fell to me at 64. Of course I'm going to take him. He's the best tight end on the board according to a lot of sources. For where the Eagles are picking. But I'm starting to figure out who I'd like to see the Eagles draft, and there's the three are Kenneth Grant. I would really like Jack Kaiser, and I think where's he at? Shmuel Mondin Jr. Those three I'm really gaining an affinity for. Jake Majors is another one that I'm gaining an affinity for. Would love to see those guys drafted by the Birds on draft night. It would tickle my fancy like no other if that were to be the case. So we'll see. Draft's still about a month away, which is crazy how quickly the offseason kind of shifts and moves. But there's not really much else on the Eagles front other than I have discovered the greatest piece of mock draft tech in the game that has me just doing nonstop mock drafts time and time again. And I'm not mad. I have fun doing it. It's a lot of fun putting the GM hat on, and I've thought about doing the Mock Draft Monday series that Pat Pitts and I did a few years ago and streaming that on Mondays potentially when I get home from my day job. So if that's something you guys would like to see, let me know in the YouTube comment section, because I would love to hear your thoughts on whether or not you want that from your boy. But yeah, our Eagles segment here brought to you by our friends at 47 Brand. Guys, we love 47 Brand here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. They are doing the damn thing. I genuinely feel like they are dropping new capsules of merchandise every single day. It's crazy. And as I record this, the St. Patrick's Day line has dropped. It is beautiful. From MLB, NHL, and miscellaneous, which includes just some St. Patty's Day gear. But the NHL, MLB, St. Patty's Day collections are available now, and the Phillies gear is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The green hat with the shamrocks on it. It is pristine. We love 47 brand. Use our link in the description and check out everything from MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, minor league baseball, NASCAR, soccer, and more. And see everything that 47 brand has to offer. Gear up for your favorite teams and shop everything at 47 brand and get free shipping on everything when you use our link in the description when you shop with 47 brand. Again, use our link in the description and you'll get free shipping on all orders from our friends at 47 brand. And we thank 47 for being a proud partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Let's shift to the Fightins, shall we? As spring training is here, and I just feel ever so inclined to say I told you so. The Phillies had split squad as I record this on Sunday night, and Alec Bohm played today in one of those split squad games, and just was hitting nukes, was hitting tank shots. And I just couldn't help but sit back and laugh. And before everyone gets up in arms and says, it's spring training, what are you talking about? I know it's spring training, okay? But there was a certain sect of Phillies fandom online and Philly sports fandom online who wanted Alec Bohm shipped out of here this offseason. Who said, we don't need him. Get him out of here. Let's get him out of here. Let's find somebody who's older. Let's find somebody that we have to pay more money to. Let's get rid of Alec Bohm. Let's do that. You're all a bunch of morons. You're all a bunch of morons. It feels good. It feels good to have always been right about Alec Bohm. And I've said this for months. I've said this since the playoffs started, since the playoffs ended. I said this going into the offseason when all the rumors were swirling around about Alec Bohm potentially being traded. Last year, there was a significant difference from the month of September on with Alec Bohm. What happened in the month of September, guys? Oh, that's right. He got hit on the hand. When you get hit on the hand and you're trying to swing a bat and you're gripping a bat to hit a ball that's going 100 miles an hour, guess what? That shit hurts. So you're not going to play exactly the same way you were for a majority of the season. I'm not making excuses, but I'm genuinely saying that I said it on the record. I said it to multiple people as well, that Alec Bohm should have been shut down for the season, in my opinion. I still felt like his hand was broken. But he was trying to be a team guy, battle through and play. And at the end of the day, I think it did more damage than it did help that he was in the lineup because I think he was injured. But he smacks 2 home runs today. Smacked 2 home runs today. 2 round trippies. What do you know? It's almost like the guy can play. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? 3 at-bats, 2 hits, 2 home runs, bada bing, bada boom. How you doing, Alec Bohm? And that Phil squad 154 against the Baltimore Orioles. Maybe I know ball. Maybe you should be listening to the show because I know a little thing or two. It just makes me laugh that people wanted Alec Bohm shipped out of here. And people just still complaining about this lineup. And I will say it until I'm blue in the face. The people who fail to recognize how good this Phillies lineup is must have become Phillies fans in 2022. There's no other explanation for it. Because if you think that the Phillies lineup right now is bad, I want you to go and rewind to 2015, 2016. I want you to go rewind to 2014. I want you to go rewind to 2003. Take it back to 2001. And then tell me about bad lineups. This team has one of the best lineups in baseball. And people still aren't. I'm fully convinced people are just yelling at the sky to yell at the sky about the Phillies lineup. Because the same people that are yelling, kicking, and screaming are going to be the same ones that are down at Citizens Bank Park every single weekend until school lets out. And then they're there during the week, too. And even then, they might be there during the week. I'm convinced the people yelling are like in the age demographic of like 16 to 19-year-olds. Because you cannot convince me otherwise. And if you're older than that and you're complaining about this Phillies lineup, I genuinely don't know what to tell you. Because you've seen worse. You've seen far worse than this lineup. You've seen far worse than this pitching staff. I mean, no joke. And I mean this respectfully. This pitching staff rivals 2011. On paper, this pitching staff rivals 2011 with what they would be able to do pound for pound, game for game. Halladay, Wheeler, Cliff Lee, Aaron Nola. You give me Cole Hamels. You give me Christopher Sanchez. Ranger Suarez, Roy Oswalt, Jesus Luzardo, Joe Blanton. And guess what? This year, 2025's rotation goes deeper and deeper. Taijuan Walker, Tyler Phillips, Lazar, Andrew Painter. It goes deeper. Joe Ross. I'm almost at my ankles with how deep in pitching this Phillies team is. But they didn't do anything in the offseason to improve the team. They didn't do enough. This team is going to be awesome, guys. And sure, I may say that as a Phillies optimist, as somebody who believes in this team, who is ride or die, game in, game out, 162 out of 162 plus playoffs. But I'm telling you that this team is going to provide so much fun. And I do think having guys like Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos and Marsh and Bohm and Stott, who are really entrenched in what this city does from a success standpoint, I genuinely think those guys, along with the likes of Aaron Nola, who has been here his entire career, Zach Wheeler, are motivated by the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I genuinely feel that way. I think those core guys on this team see what the Eagles just went and did and have a different type of mindset now at approaching everything so that at the end of the day, they get their redemption and win a World Series this year as well. They're too fierce of competitors to not think that way. It would be crazy. And to think that this team doesn't have what it takes to compete is crazy to me. Are they shelling out billions of dollars like the Dodgers? No. But they're still one of the highest spending teams in baseball. They have a better rotation than the Dodgers, in my opinion, in terms of stability, overall talent, and health. Lineup, we forget that the Phillies lineup last year went 5-1 against the Dodgers. I don't forget, but you idiots online forget. Yes, the Dodgers have a very talented lineup, but baseball is such a random number generator sport that anything can happen. At the flip of a switch, anything can happen in baseball. And that's what makes it so fun, and that's what makes it so painful as a fan, is that at the end of the day, truly anything can happen. And I'm just geared up and excited and have optimism about a new Philly season on the horizon that is filled with talented players, is filled with one of the most successful managers in franchise history. Like, we're talking about Rob Thompson being the second best manager in Phillies history behind Charlie Manuel, and the one thing right now that's really separating him from being in the same tier, not necessarily better than Charlie Manuel, but being in the same tier as Charlie Manuel, is that he doesn't have a world championship in a Phillies uniform. If Topper won the 2022 World Series as the manager of this team, as an interim manager, mind you, we would say that Charlie Manuel and Rob Thompson are in the same tier of manager. You know, Charlie surpassed Dallas Green by winning that World Series and going on an illustrious run in franchise history. Topper's in the midst of his run with the majority of this team in their prime, while also having so many guys in the pipeline that are talented, that are going to be able to step in and be the next generation of Phillies players that will keep this thing going because of how well Brian Barber and company have developed the farm system. A lot of people don't understand how well run this team is. But when you do figure it out, it gets a lot more fun. It gets a lot more fun when you realize how well run this Phillies organization is compared to the past. Because there's a whole hell of a lot more money, there's a whole hell of a lot more passion, and a whole hell of a lot more inclination to win. We could have been stuck in the 2015 to 2019 rebuild era for a long time if it were not for one guy walking through the door. And before I get to that one guy, there's someone I got to talk to you guys about, because it is Phil season. And that is our friends at FOCO. We love FOCO here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. Guys, I was just looking in my closet. My shortalls were calling to me like the Green Goblin mask, ready to plaster themselves to me. I'm ready to have that bright sunshine on my skin and be rocking my shortalls down at Citizens Bank Park and partying it up with the people all Phillies season long. FOCO is the place to be for the dedicated fan. From collectibles to apparel to merchandise, it's all officially licensed. Phillies, Flyers, Eagles, Sixers, Union. Plus, they got a whole big old collection for college basketball, which you guys already know. We do it big here at Underground Sports Philadelphia when it comes to college basketball. Use our link in the description. Shop everything FOCO has to offer, from your favorite sports team, your favorite sports league, your favorite college team, and beyond. Use our link in the description, and we thank FOCO for being a proud partner of the podcast. The Phillies would have been stuck in the deepest and darkest of times had it not been for one man and one man only. And it's crazy that it has been that long since Bryce Harper has walked through that door, that it has been this long since John Heyman hit send on that tweet back on February 28th, 2019. We just celebrated another anniversary of Bryce Harper. being a Philadelphia Philly. And truly, it's wild that Bryce has been here since 2019. 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. This will be year 7 of Bryce Harper in a Phillies uniform. And he will now match the amount of years that he spent in Washington, D.C. this season when it's complete, that he will in a Phillies uniform. And just seeing what Bryce Harper means to this organization and means to this city and means to just the sports culture in Philadelphia, I don't think we all processed it enough when Bryce Harper signed here. I the other day, the tweet that the Phillies put out that said, "We got him," came across my timeline, and I remember where I was. I was sitting in a Buffalo Wild Wings following one of Buena Regional High School's musicals and just could not believe that it was true. I was shaking from excitement. And it's crazy to say that about somebody who is roughly my age. Bryce is about a year older than me. But you look at what Bryce Harper has been able to accomplish in his career. Obviously, what he did in D.C. was nothing short of incredible. Won an MVP, a Rookie of the Year, multiple All-Star appearances. But then he comes to Philadelphia and multiple All-Star appearances, Silver Slugger awards, an MVP, a World Series appearance, an NLCS MVP. And we live so in the moment, obviously. But as we approach the start of year 7 of the Bryce Harper experience into a 13-year contract, it's crazy to think that Bryce's initial contract with the Phillies has hit the halfway point. Like, we are halfway through the initial signing of Bryce Harper in Philadelphia. It has been that quick that it has flown by. And I remember sitting here with Matt talking about Bryce Harper signing here and how much of a big moment it was, to go from the year prior where we're banging on the table for Jake Arrieta to sign, year 1 of the podcast. And then a year later, we get Bryce Harper on this team. And you look at the domino effect of Bryce Harper's influence on the Phillies being a destination, from Zach Wheeler, JT Realmuto, then you go to the Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber. You go and you see Aaron Nola sign extensions here. You go and get guys that change an organization. Trey Turner signs here partially due to the fact that Bryce Harper is here. And you get guys like Jeff Hoffman to come through here because of Bryce Harper. And when you collect so many superstar players on your team, it makes it a destination year in and year out for those final missing piece components to come through to Philadelphia and sign with the team. So I think as we approach 2025 and we see another year of Bryce Harper now playing first base yet again, came here as a right fielder and transitioned to first base so seamlessly. I think we just need to show more appreciation for Bryce. And I know we do such a good job of it here already. But I think the more we show that appreciation in the moment, the more we're going to look back so fondly when it's all said and done on Bryce Harper being an all-time Philly and being someone who's remembered in a Phillies uniform more than in a Washington Nationals uniform. And I think we're already there, quite frankly, because it was so early in Bryce's life from age 19 to 25. That's when he was in a Nationals uniform. And he had his moments, but I do think now in what he's been able to accomplish in a Phillies uniform and in a bigger sports market, it will all go down in history that Bryce Harper is known as a Philadelphia Philly more than anything else. And I think that's so special and so awesome that we've been able to bear witness to that and just enjoy what it truly means to have superstars play sports in the city of Philadelphia. So here's to year 7, Bryce. Let's have ourselves a year. And maybe 2025 be the year of the lick back in Philadelphia. I can't wait. I cannot wait to be walking through those turnstiles at Citizens Bank Park at the beginning of April. It's going to bring so much joy to my face and so much joy to my bones that I just can't wait for it. We are so close to being back, everybody. And we're going to be doing it big this Philly season. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Let's shift to the hardwood. And it is brought to you by our friends over at Paramount Plus. Guys, it's March. And you know what that means. The madness is back. Don't miss a single second of the NCAA men's or women's college basketball tournament on Paramount Plus. There's going to be select games, I believe, for the women's tournament on Paramount Plus. Definitely the men's tournament on Paramount Plus. Sign up today for free. Use our link in the description. Sign up for Paramount Plus so you don't miss out on a single second of the madness. Stream college basketball and a whole lot more on Paramount Plus, CBS Live. Check out their entire catalog, and there's so much to be discovered when you get to the mountaintop. So check out college basketball this tournament season only on Paramount Plus. Sign up today using our link in the description and get started with Paramount Plus. We'll get to a little tourney talk and when some big news will be coming with our tournament coverage, which will be in the very near future. I promise that. I do want to talk a little Joel Embiid because the news came out that he is finished for the season. Paul George is soft retiring from his podcast, and Tyrese Maxey is playing in games with 8 fingers. And this Sixers season has been an unmitigated disaster. And I said that on the last episode. I said it the episode before when I touched on them. And we haven't really talked Sixers on this podcast all that much, simply because when we saw the way the season started, you kind of knew, everyone. And if you didn't know, now you know. And if you didn't know then, I feel sorry for you. This season was a disaster. It was almost as disastrous as one could ever permutate if you were Doctor Strange, going through every single outcome of what this season could have been. We're at the worst possible outcome. Joel Embiid is done for the year. There is reports that he had to go to Josh Harris directly to discuss his injury. There's reports about what surgical procedures could be on the table for Joel, and one of them includes breaking his hip bone to realign the meniscus in his knee. There is talk of medical retirement on the table, and it hurts my soul that it has come to this, that the city of Philadelphia lucked into one of the most impactful, dynamic, earth-shattering superstars in modern NBA history and still found a way to fuck it up. you had everything presented to you on a silver platter. And sure, the league came in and interrupted the process. And sure, Burnergate happened. And sure, you traded for Tobias Harris and signed Al Horford. But Joel Embiid dragged this team, no matter the iteration, through the mud and into the playoffs on a consistent basis whenever he was healthy. From Brett Brown to Doc Rivers to Nick Nurse, from companions of Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Al Horford, James Harden, Paul George. It hurts my soul that the 76ers are such an incompetent organization that from the top down, they found a way to consistently fail Joel Embiid in every sense of the word. Now, am I saying Joel Embiid was perfect? No. But without Joel Embiid, this team is not perennially in the playoffs. Without Joel Embiid, this team is not consistently regarded as one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference and as a top 5 team in the NBA for a stretch here from 2018 to 2024. It hurts. As a fan of the team, as a fan of Joel, and as a fan of what the best interest of Philadelphia basketball should be. Because we also don't appreciate Philadelphia being a hotbed for basketball as a sport. And Joel Embiid got us back on the map for the first time since prime Allen Iverson. In almost 2 decades, it took. And along the way, one wrong button was pushed here and here and here and here and here. Every single time. And it blows my mind how drastically and fatally the Philadelphia 76ers organization failed Joel Embiid as not only a player, but as a person and as a face of a franchise. It's pathetic. And I hope we're not at the end of Joel's career. I hope there's still somehow, some way, things can be fixed. But maybe James Harden was right. Maybe Daryl Morey is a liar. Maybe Daryl Morey kind of overhyped. Maybe Daryl Morey's overstayed his welcome as president of basketball operations for the Philadelphia 76ers. I have nothing against Daryl on a personal level, but tell me what Daryl Morey has done that has wowed you as a GM as opposed to the rest of the city from Howie Roseman, who is the gold standard, to Dave Dombrowski, to Danny Briere. Daryl Morey is the worst GM in the city of Philadelphia, and it's not even close. It's not even close. You have teams of non-major four sports who have better GMs in the city than Daryl Morey. It's sad. It's pathetic. The organization should be embarrassed. Josh Harris should be embarrassed. David Blitzer should be embarrassed. Daryl Morey should be embarrassed. Elton Brand should be embarrassed. Every member of this organization should be embarrassed for how they've treated every second of Joel Embiid's career in the NBA. Plain and simple. Speaking of basketball that I'm looking forward to watching, March Madness, college basketball, Selection Sunday is March 16th. We will have our live stream reacting to the selections and everything in the bracket. So definitely stay tuned for that. We will have that happening on March 16th. Our Underground Madness. You guys know how it goes. Our bracket will open probably Wednesday of this week. Just to get it open, get people joining, get people in the mix. It is open to all. It is a free-to-join bracket. The only thing we ask is that you follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel in order to gain access to the group. Follow us for the duration of the tournament. Subscribe to our channel for the duration of the tournament. Hopefully you stick around for longer. That is the one thing. And we're going to have interviews. Stevie Mack leading the charge, along with myself, DJ, Harrison, Christian. We're going to be doing a whole lot with the madness. The bracket will go live probably Wednesday of this week. We will have details on possible sponsors. And what we're looking to do with like brand partners and such. We will have live stream schedules once we get the bracket. So once Selection Sunday kind of processes, either live on that Selection Sunday bracket live stream or the next day, we will have our live stream schedule for you. And we're gonna do it big. March Madness is one of our like seasonal tent poles here at the company, along with the Home Run Derby, the NFL Draft, and a couple other things. But the PLL Draft as well. We love drafts. But the college basketball tournament is certainly one of our like seasonal tent poles that we genuinely like pop off with, and we try to go bigger and better every single year, and it's something that we just all enjoy. And I think that college basketball is such a pure and genuine just love of the game type thing that it just makes it so much fun every single year. So we're looking forward to that. This again, you're closing in on it being too late almost. You have about 2.5 weeks from the time you're listening to this. Actually, you probably have about 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks. Get that PTO in. You have 2 weeks from today, March 3rd, to go to your day job and say, hey, I need off on March 27th. Almost got the date wrong. You have 2 weeks from today, March 3rd, 2 weeks from today, to walk into your day job and schedule PTO for March 20th and 21st. March 20th and 21st. That way you have a 4-day weekend of just pure couch potato living, vegging out to college basketball. be sure you're off from your day job on the opening rounds of the tournament. Those are the most exciting days of the NCAA tournament. It's when the field is full. Everyone's tweeting about it. Everyone's planning times to be watching. Don't get suckered into being in the cube, being in the office, being at the day job. March into the office today as you're listening to this and say, hey, boss, I appreciate you. I got something going on March 20th and 21st. I'm not going to be here. I need off those days. I'll see you on Monday. But March 20th and 21st, I'm out of office. You have 2 weeks to get it done. Get it done now so you're not scrambling and then you potentially miss out on the PTO being used. Walk into your day job today, March 20th and 21st. You need off so that you can fully immerse yourself into the opening rounds of the NCAA college basketball tournament. I'm looking out for the people, okay? I'm looking out for the people. That's all I'm doing with that public service announcement. I did it on last week's episode too. I'm just looking out for the people. Making sure you get that PTO in when it needs to be in, okay? That way you're sitting on that couch. If you get that PTO in, I want the selfies. I want the selfies sent to the pod. Or leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/undergroundsportsphiladelphia. I want you to leave me a voicemail, speakpipe.com/undergroundsportsphiladelphia. If you go into the office and attempt to get the PTO, I want to hear if you're successful. I want to hear the story about it. And if you're not successful, I want to hear the story behind that as well. So let me know, speakpipe.com/undergroundsportsphiladelphia. I want to hear the stories of you attempting to put in PTO for the opening round of the NCAA college basketball tournament. I love this time of year. I swear I do. I do. Couple more topics here for the people. I want to talk about the Philadelphia Union. Yeah, the Philadelphia Union. Back-to-back shows talking some Union. It is brought to you by our friends over at Bino. We love Bino here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. It is the next big tabletop game for your man cave, your she shed, your tailgates, your parties, whatever it may be. You whip out a Bino board. You're going to get the people talking. It's paper football meets foosball in the biggest tabletop flicking experience. They have officially licensed Philadelphia Union boards and a whole MLS collection that are all officially licensed. They have some Premier League teams, Serie A, and some other big European leagues as well that are all officially licensed. You can get their traditional boards, custom boards, accessories, merchandise, all on their website. Use our link in the description to shop everything at Bino. Use the link in the description. That way, Bino knows you're coming from us. And if you want to get 10% off your next Bino order, use code BinoBennett62. That's code BinoBennett62, and you'll get 10% off your entire order when you use our link in the description and shop with our friends at Bino. The Philadelphia Union, everybody. Top of the table? 4-1 home opener win against Cincinnati? How we doing? Keep it moving. Ty Baribeau. Hat trick in this one. Bruno Damiani. First goal in a Union uniform at home. That was a hell of a performance on Saturday night down at the Soob. I'll tell you that much. That's a hell of a win for the boys to open up the home slate for the Philadelphia Union. And I'm taking a liking to young boy Ty. He's a dog. 27 years old. Seems to be an absolute game wrecker for the opponent. A dynamic win against an opponent who we mentioned is typically a thorn in the side to this organization. And when Harrison and I broke it down on Wednesday, coming off that win against Orlando City on the road, you looked at the outlook for the month of March, where you had Cincinnati, New England, Nashville, St. Louis, and Inter Miami. We said, see if you can win this game against Cincinnati, but if you pull a draw, that's fine. Coming off, high emotion game, you kind of level things out, new manager, new players. It'll all work itself out. And then New England, Nashville, St. Louis, you want to win those games. Those teams stink on ice. And then Inter Miami's Inter Miami. You don't really know what you're going to get until you see if Messi's playing or not. But we said if you could go 3-1-1 in the month of March, that's a good outcome. That's a good outcome for this team. Well, now, in my book, you want to go 4-1. No draws. You leave Inter Miami open to interpretation. They're a very good club, so you kind of chalk it up as a loss. You're at Miami as well, so that's why I have it as a loss. But now you try to win these next three against New England, Nashville, St. Louis. Two of them are at home against Nashville and St. Louis on March 16th and March 22nd. You're at New England on March 8th. You start seeing semblances of some good, consistent play if you're able to pull those wins off. You're at the top of the table with Columbus. You have a better goal differential than Columbus, so you have the tiebreaker, and the Philadelphia Union are in first place right now. And shout out to Dewani, the motherfucking GOAT. Friend of the program, everybody, with that beautiful game day poster for the home opener, and got the absolute celeb treatment. Well deserved. Everything down at the Sub was amazing. I love that stadium, and it's crazy that still haven't been there. But we are trying to plan an underground night, day, what have you, at a Union game this year when it makes the most sense. Weather's good, matchup's good. We're trying to figure it all out. And I'm looking at some of the schedule right now. And, May 10th against Columbus would be kind of nice. Would be kind of sick. Depending on prior obligations for your boy. But also looking at potentially, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe in the summertime as well when I'm not necessarily traveling for PLL. Maybe a little Montreal, a little New York Red Bulls action in July. What day of the week is July 12th? What day of the week is a July 12th? That's a Saturday, July 12th against the New York Red Bulls. That could be one. But I'm starting to put some feelers out because I feel like that would be an absolute blast of a time. To have a live tailgate podcast go down at the Sub. There's plenty of space for it. Bring up the Beano boards, get the Kennys flowing, and do a live podcast before a Union game. Have some Union reporters who are, in this next gen of media. Like my boy, Jimmy King. I tweeted it. If you're not following Jimmy on the socials, you're doing yourself a disservice when it comes to Union coverage. And we will get Jimmy on this podcast throughout the season. I want to have Jimmy on the show because he's damn good at his job, works for Philly Sports Network. And those boy, Liam does a great job. Obviously, Liam, friend of the pod, early on supporter of us. Been friends with Liam for a long time, and Jimmy's doing the damn thing on the Union beat there, rocking that bolo tie. So Jimmy will be on the show more often than not throughout this Union season for sure. But maybe July 12th is something I can look at potentially as a nice little Union tailgate pod. Very first one. Go to my first game. Be a doozy of a time. But let's make that happen, Philadelphia Union. Would love to actually have that be a thing. But yeah, a great result for the Union. Dynamic. Get the home crowd into it early. Make it an environment you don't want to come play in. And like I said, you have 2 out of your next 3 at home and 2 out of 4 at home the rest of the month. And you should win your next 3. At New England, home to Nashville, home to St. Louis. You should win those and put yourself in really, really good positioning early on in a very long season to build continuity, build, chemistry, and build camaraderie, not only team-wise, but from team to fan base as well. And I think if you start hot early enough and build points, build a lead in the Eastern Conference, you put yourself in a good spot as the season rolls along with the new manager, with the new team, pieces and everything like that. So it's definitely something that's a good sign to bounce back from what was a very subpar year last year for the Philadelphia Union. Buzzing for the boys. They looked fantastic. And I'm sure we'll also be talking about that Union game and some upcoming Union banter on Top Bins with myself, Harrison, and Mark Kremer this week as we talk everything in the world of footy and the beautiful game. Our official soccer podcast here on Underground Sports Philadelphia's podcast network. Mark was at the game, so that's why we will definitely be talking about it for sure. But a great result for the boys. Shout out to the Union. Big time win to start the home slate. Let's laugh a little bit here to round out the show. This segment brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Guys, if you want to stand out in the crowd, whether you're going to Citizens Bank Park, Subaru Park, the Wells Fargo Center, hanging out at the bar, hanging out at home, going out with your people, you want to stand out in the crowd and rep your favorite Philly sports team, Philly sports podcast, or just Philly-centric apparel, PHI Apparel Company is the place to do it. Stand out in the crowd. With their unique designs for all, they guarantee you will stand out in the crowd. Go to phiapparel.co. Check out all of the designs, including Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast merch from Underground to OTB to Streamer Season, classic Top Bins. We got to get the new logo over, as well as the Underground Circuit logo over, as well as getting the whole. Check out all of our podcast merch. It is the most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. Go to phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, use code UNDERGROUND, and you will get 10% off your next merch order from our merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Again, that's code UNDERGROUND at checkout at phiapparel.co for 10% off your next merch order. We'll round out with the Flyers. Trade deadline is approaching or has passed. Trade deadline is on March 7th, so on Thursday. Scott Laughton, who I would love to see in a Philadelphia Flyers jersey forever. I love Lots just as a human and as a player and as a leader and just chemistry provider on this team. Decided to get pretty funny on social media and post a photo of he and all of the Flyers at a team dinner and posed in the way of the Last Supper. Just absolutely hysterical. Scott Laughton's one of those guys who isn't flashy. He isn't like he's not the most talented player, but what he does and what he provides, he's just genuinely so good for the game and just good for the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and just providing for this organization. And him being a career Flyer is pretty awesome. made his debut in 2012, 2013 before getting sent back down and then brought back up in 14 and 15, 15 and 16, and then has been a mainstay on the roster since 2016, 2017. Really 2017, 2018. But he's a guy that just embodies the city, embodies what it means to be a Flyer, embodies the culture that you want on a professional sports team. And I hope it's not Scott Laughton's final days in a Flyers uniform, because I just think he deserves to only wear a Flyers sweater his entire career. But man, what a genius move to post the Last Supper. And it just shows you the type of guy he is. He's lighthearted. He's willing to have fun with things. And it is it's part of being in a rebuild where you lose some truly special players that don't necessarily line up with your championship window. And if the Flyers do move on from Scott Laughton, I hope it's to a team that, one, we can all root for, two, gives him the best opportunity to win a Stanley Cup because he deserves that honor. And then I hope he comes back when it's all said and done. He's still got plenty of skate in him. He's only 30 years old. But I hope when it's all said and done, he's a guy that, retires as a Flyer and is remembered as a Philadelphia Flyer through and through. Because he's just a genuine, amazing person. He's somebody I've always wanted on this podcast. So maybe in the offseason we can get Scott Laughton on the show. But the Last Supper photo had me cackling, and it was just absolute gold. So shout out to Scott Laughton. Funny moment of the week there when it comes to the Fly guys. And just a franchise icon and a franchise legend, even though, he's not a Claude Giroux, he's not a Voracek, he's not a Mike Richards or Jeff Carter or anything like that from my era of Flyers. He's not, Bobby Clark, but he is somebody that in Flyers history is someone that should go down as an all-time Flyer. So shout out to Scott Laughton. You're the man. That's all I got for you guys on this one. Make sure you're following us on the socials at Underground PHI across the board. Stay tuned for our Underground Madness announcement early this week. That's the plan. Sometime this week. Hopefully Wednesday is the optimal plan to get some things situated. But follow us on the socials. You'll be up to date with everything. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave us a 5-star review. It really does go a long way for helping this show continue to grow, plus all of our shows on our network. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It is all on our YouTube channel. We are 71 subscribers away from 1,100, which is our goal to get to before March Madness tips off. So keep subscribing, leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. And this show is proudly presented by the city of Vineland. And the city of Vineland, guys, if you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process, and their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you are considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4600. 4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. This has been episode number 721. We had a fun one on this episode. Episode 721 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. I'm your boy KB. Harrison and I will be back on Thursday breaking down everything that comes up about the Eagles, everything that comes up about the Phils, the Flyers, the Union, the Sixers, and whatever the hell else comes to mind that we feel like talking about. But until then, I'm getting the heck up out of here. Let's have a great start to the week. And always remember, the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Till next time, I'm getting the heck up out of here, and I'm signing off. Peace.